You join us here in Benoni at the Formula K circuit for coverage of the Rotax Max Challenge African Open 2020. This is coverage of the DD2 class with names such as Bradley Liebenberg, Robert Whiting and Justin Allison, and they managed to qualify in that order. Just behind them, Nicholas Verheul and Jamie Smith.
Great to see you back at the circuit. And yesterday you pulled off a win overall in the regionals. Is it, let's do that today? I need some to go and pick up some spares in Portimao on turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was obviously we used it as practice for today. You know, this is the race that counts. But yeah, you know, going back to Portugal, it's where it all began in 2012 for me. My first Rotax Grand Final was there in Junior Max, and you know, we've been there now and then. I think it was 2016, 2017. I'm not 100% sure actually. 2017, and yeah, there's a little bit of unfinished business there. So, you know, we're hoping to qualify and, you know, go there and finish what we started back then already.
Yeah, today, like you said, I'm not really in it for the tickets. I've already got it. I'm using today as practice, racing against some really good drivers. South African DD2 drivers are the best in the world.
You know, Cristiano's not here.
It's a pity that he's not here. I wish he was, but looking at how things are going here, it's really good to race against these guys, keep me sharp, keep in the racing mix, because this year there hasn't been much racing. It's kind of been like get to the front and go. Had a bit at Swartkops, was a lot of fun, but other than that, it's nice to race with my old friends again.
Yeah. World finals, plenty under the belt. You want the ticket?
Yeah, we're going to come try. That's why we're racing the junior DD2. If, you know, whatever happens, if we get the ticket, we'll make a plan and we'll get there. But today is also, like Nick said, it's just about coming to play with the top guys. Probably our last race is a junior, because next year we can do masters flat out. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I've been waiting for 4 years for you to become a master. But now the next question is the touchy one. How's the weight looking?
Look, I'm not going to go eat ice creams right now, but it's okay. We're thereabouts. Yeah. Luckily, this track is very flowing. There's not a lot of tight accelerating corners, so it's not a major factor, but it's not like Idubi's Hills, so it's fine.
African Open is the roll of the dice. It's all about that last heat.
It is, and you know, based on yesterday's regional, I raced the DD2 class. I thought I'd give it a bash this today in Africa Open, but then I've opted out, and I thought I'll just, you know, at the end of the day, I just want to enjoy my racing. There was a bit of, you know, unethical racing yesterday, so I thought, let me just enter Masters and I'll have some fun. Because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do, is enjoy my racing.
Have some fun, but there's that possibility of a fifth seed, as another seed to go to Europe.
Yeah, there is. That's why I say, if it comes, it comes. You know, with the pandemic going on, we don't even know if the World Final will go ahead. But you know, for today, I just want to focus on having fun.
So we've heard from the drivers. Let's see what they can do now as we head into race 1. We've got DD2 and DD2 Masters on the grid. We have a look there quickly at Eugene Britt, normally a DD2 Master, but a little bit too young to win the ticket. So he's going to try his luck here in the DD2 class. Heading into turn 1, though, they move 3 abreast, but it's Bradley Liebenberg who's got the whole shot. It's an all-burl affair, though, with Bradley Liebenberg out in front, leading out Justin Allison, and I think that is Jamie Smith there in third. Robert Whiting in another blue burl, the Ricciardo chassis. So it's an all-burl art affair in the front. 4 drivers there. Nick Verheul looking for wear on the outside. That's going to be a tricky one. The CRG piloted, or the CRG driver looking for a way past that of the Ricciardo. Unable to do so, though. But in the front, it's Bradley Liebenberg, no stranger to the African Open, 4 times winner in this class. He's never able to go, though, with his commitments to Polo Cup or GTC or any other long string of racing commitments he has. But no stranger to winning an African Open is Bradley Liebenberg. Justin Allison, you see him wearing that green suit as well. He's been a few times and unfortunately unable to capitalize. But it's a field that class that we've been very strong with here in South Africa in terms of our film performances overseas. Wesley Orr, Cristiano Magado and the likes doing very well overseas there in the World Finals. But at the moment, it's Bradley Liebenberg who leads out Justin Allison. Robert Whiting falling off the pace a bit. Well over 120 km an hour these carts doing through that turn 1 here at Formula K, one of the longest circuits in the country. And after speaking to the drivers, they're definitely there.
Nick Verheul obviously was for South African Masters champion. He's now running in the just in DD2 class. He's using this situation for practice. He's got his ticket and he's just needing seat time and also dueling with the guys at the front and not having to worry, and I suppose not wanting to take the ticket away from Jonathan Peterson.
Yeah, Jonathan Peterson also no stranger to the World Finals. 4 times he's been there, and himself, Nick, raced very hard this year for the title. Hopefully there's no love lost. I don't think there's any love lost there between the two of them. But we need them to be teammates when they get to Portimao. We want as many wins as we can get. But Nick Verheul using this as racing experience, and he's about to get himself a whole handful as he catches up onto the back of that of Robert Whiting, who is also got himself a ticket now. 2nd place in the DD2 National Championship, so he'll be joining whoever wins here, as well as our DD2 National Champion Sebastian Boyd, unable to attend this weekend because he has something called matric exams. Apparently they're important. I wouldn't know anything about it, but
yeah, these exams sort of interfering with the racing, I think. But also one thing was one's got to remember, Bradley Liebenberg won the junior South African max title, and in the same year won DD2 when he was 15 years old. He went that year in 2012 to Portimao as a junior, and then made a comeback in 27 as a DD2 champion.
Ooh, big move there from Robert Whiting down the inside of Jamie Smith. That's going to allow Nick Verheul to get down the inside, but now he's on the outside of the right-hander. 3 abreast they're going to go. Nick a little bit too old and too wise to get involved in that mess. That could have ended in tears. But yeah, Bradley Liebenberg, ever the overachiever, winning Junior Max and DD2 in 1 year. But unfortunately, never been able to really represent South Africa at the World Finals because of his other commitments. And he's won 2 championships this year already in GDC and Polo Cup and Super Cup that he's already won this year on the main circuit. So definitely an overachiever.
And at the World Finals in 2017, he was top 3, top 4 the entire weekend in every heat. Started the final in 3rd place and never got through the big turn 1, which was like a pile-up. I think there were about 5 carts off on the circuit, which was like a battleground that entire weekend. It was a long, fast downhill corner. The guys were, I think, was doing something like 131 kilometers an hour, and then all sorts of things went wrong. So Bradley wants to go. I told him he's probably going to go and look for some of his spares, but still buried in the sand there.
Yeah, Bradley Liebenberg unfortunately getting stuck. A lot of us getting stuck with bad luck at the World Finals. We've had many a driver go over there that could have, should have, didn't win. But you can see in this DD2 field there are a lot of those green suits. Eugene Britt just at the back of that gaggle is one of them. Unfortunately, Eugene Britt's not old enough to do DD2 Masters to gain a ticket, so he thought he'd try his luck here in DD2 Junior, but carrying a lot more weight than he should be in comparison to these other junior drivers. But as we look at lap 8 of 10, we have a look at Bradley Liebenberg. So far ahead, he actually looks like a back marker, just ahead of Justin Addison, Robert Whiting and Jamie Smith. These 3 still fighting it out, hammer and tongs for 2nd place here in race 1. Nick Verheul dropping off slightly there, so maybe just hasn't quite got the setup right for this long race. I know it's only 10 laps, but it is 10 times 1.6 Ks, which is not something these drivers are used to. They're used to more of a 900 to a 1K long circuit, which is what the average is here in South Africa outside of Formula K. But it is definitely these 3 that we're watching now, the dice with on lap 8 of 10. 2 more to go here for 2nd. Bradley's so far ahead, we might as well not even have a look. And it's definitely going to be a fight between these 3 for that honor of 2nd place in race 1. Remember, race 1, your fastest lap gives you the grid for race 2, but your points accumulated between race 1 and 2 is your starting position for that all-important final. Bradley Liebenberg well away in the lead there. Someone else who's in the lead in this field that we haven't looked at is the DD2 Masters lead, and that is Jonathan Peterson coming through the corner round about now. Jonathan Peterson well away in the lead there, and even dicing with some DD2 juniors in DD2 Master category. They're racing the same circuit, but they are slightly heavier than that of the juniors. But Jonathan Peterson well onto his way to take victory in Masters. This lap 9 of 10 now, and it's Justin Addison versus Robert Whiting for 2nd place. It looks to have all calmed down though, and a couple of gaps forming between these 2. It's only a kart length, but a kart length is enough to maintain your position unless someone wants to be a bit brave on the brakes. Robert Whiting though definitely close enough to be brave on the brakes into the left hand here. He's looking for the way down. He's brave on the brakes, but not quite brave enough. Justin Addison closing it down early there. I know a couple of drivers that could have been an accident with if they tried that and Justin turned in, but Robert Whiting wise to it, rather score the points and get yourself a good starting position for the final. But hopefully we see someone challenge Bradley Liebenberg in race 2 and definitely in the final because at the moment it is definitely the Brad show taking a massive lead out of this Justin Allison, Robert Whiting, and Jamie Smith battle. And poor Nicholas Verheul there in no man's land, just ahead of Eugene Brits, but definitely not fighting anybody. Head down the straight. He was there to try and catch onto the group, but it is definitely the Brad show out in front. It must be the most frustrating thing as Justin Allison to watch Brad Liebenberg out in front, because he honestly doesn't even look like he's driving the cart. It looks like it's almost on a remote control. He's so calm and so relaxed. But when you've driven DD2s as long as he has, I don't think there's anything that can surprise you.
Something I noticed since Bradley has gone onto main circuit and started racing Polo Cup carts and GTC carts, coming back to karting occasionally.
Oh, big die wall. Robert tries the same move again, but Justin, this time taking a tag from him, but definitely chopped the nose off there, Robert Riding. Sorry to interrupt there, Jan.
No, Bradley just seems there's big maturity in his driving style. And I think that is all coming through. He looks comfortable, it's relaxed, and not the wild child that he used to be.
Yeah, well, definitely looking comfortable now, as I think he's going to take the flag for victory there in this race. A massive gap he's got over Justin Allison. Robert Whiting will come across in third place ahead of Jamie Smith. Nick Verheul there in fifth ahead of Eugene Brits. But in the Masters, it was Jonathan Peterson who took out the win, card 169. Nicholas Spanianos in 8th for the juniors. Divan Brock in 76 in 9th. And Marwan Salmi, number 66, second in Masters, was 10th. As we head up now into race 2. And looks like Robert Whiting definitely on the pace of Justin Allison, because he's second on the grid ahead of Justin Allison and Jamie Smith. But into turn 2, it'll be Jamie Smith that comes up behind Brad Liebenberg. The all Burrell show continues, although the one blue one is called a Ricciardo, but all manufactured by Burrell Art, and they all up there in the top 4. The CRG mounted Nick Verheul there in 5th, followed by the Intrepid of the Eugene Brits, just ahead of that of Jonathan Peterson. Jonathan Peterson, the leader of the Masters class at the moment in the OTK chassis. He is the Esprit, I think it is, he's using, or Tony Kart, sorry, that he's using. There in the lead of the Masters and 6th overall. Not a bad performance from him. As Nick Verheul looking to get past Justin Allison early. Is he going to stick it on the inside into the 180s? He thinks better of it, but the group a lot closer together than what we saw in race 1. But Bradley Liebenberg already getting a car length ahead of Jamie Smith as they head into the corkscrew. He's a little bit slower into the corkscrew, but his exit's a lot better than that of Jamie Smith. That's going to keep him safe from any attack in the slipstream into turn 1 as we hear the carts come past us and actually into the limiter into this left-hand turn 1 and the cambered turned 2. But Jamie Smith trying to stay in touch with Brad Liebenberg. We saw a massive gap from him in Heat 1. Whether we're going to see that massive gap now in Heat 2 remains to be seen, but the times are proper quick here. 105s is what they're doing at the moment, mid 105s, so a very, very quick times being put out by all these drivers. The Mojo rubber being put down on the track, cleaning it up nicely for us, and we'll see how much of a gap Bradley will be able to pull, or hopefully not be able to pull.
Also, what's got to be taken into consideration is the heat on the day. We were doing 29 degrees Celsius, and over 2 days in a row, rubber being put down because of a regional held on the Saturday.
Yeah, some drivers have been here since the Wednesday testing already, but the heat doesn't just affect your tires, it also affects your engine and your jetting. So whether or not you're jetted for the first part or the last part of the race, which the engine temperature will work better for you. You'll see a lot of these drivers reaching over to the radiator. There is a flap on there that you can use to control the temperature of the motor. There we go. As I speak of it, Jonathan Peterson just double checking his is open as they head down the main straight there. But that does control your temperature. These motors are very, very affected by temperature and where they run at their peak performance. So you'll see a lot of them looking for that flap on the left hand side. But Eugene Brits, forever the aggressive sort of driving style there, just hanging onto the back of Nick Verheul in his black Mamba there. No stickers on that cart. Stickers cost weight. Weight is something you don't want to put on when you're already running overweight. So 1.2 kilos saved by removing the sticker kit. So you see Eugene Brits driving in a black Mamba there. And just behind him though is Jonathan Peterson. Jonathan Peterson doing well to hang on to the juniors. He has a weight disadvantage in the DD2 Masters class. So nice to see him hanging onto the back there. But in the front, it's Bradley Liebenberg once again eking out that gap. Not as big as what it was in race number 1, but definitely comfortable enough to settle into a rhythm and not have to worry about being attacked. Bradley Liebenberg in that Burrell Art DD2 of his doing a fine job with a 105.5. The next best there, a 105.7. but the next 4 carts behind him all lapping in a 105.7. So over 1 minute, so over 65 seconds, not even 0.1 separates these carts at the moment. So a nice and close field bodes well for some great racing in the final. But at the moment, it's still Brad Liebenberg, Jamie Smith, Robert Whiting, Justin Allison, and Nick Verheul fighting it out for top honors here. Lap 8 of 10. And it looks as though either we've lost Brad Liebenberg or he's pulled the same gap again. No, he started to pull himself a gap again. And he's just ahead that of Jamie Smith. This is their local track. Jamie Smith running with his father's team. That is the NS 2-stroke. They are based just down the road here in Benoni. So if anybody knows this track well, it is that of Jamie Smith. And just behind him, Robert Whiting, also in the same stable. So the setup being shared between them, as well as Justin Allison. So these three sharing the setup. And you can see why they all match each other in the same lap times. 105.7. But Robert Whiting heading all the way from here from KwaZulu-Natal. And Justin Allison, we haven't seen a lot of him this year. He's just had his first child, so he's taken a gap from karting. But based in Bloemfontein, he doesn't manage to get as many laps as what these guys do, because unfortunately Bloem has lost their karting circuit. So unfortunately for Justin, he's having to arrive and drive at most events, but doing a great showing there. In 4th place is Justin Allison in that kart 52. But the gap seems to be opening up between all of these drivers. 1 or 2 car lengths is what the gap is, but we know how quickly that can close up and how quickly that can change in DD2. But Jamie Smith doing a great job just to hang on to that 2nd place and build that 2-car gap. No mistakes from him. We'll see him just hold off Robert Whiting. He's got 1 more lap to do it, but Brad Liebenberg easily out there in front, taking it chilled and taking it easy. We've never seen this man stress in the kart for a while. I think we need to get some more DD2s in here to give him a bit of a hard time. Wesley, lose 20 kilos and come show this boy.
Yeah, well, one thing you were talking about the flaps on the radiator earlier. Last year, a big lesson learned by Nick Verheul, who was leading at the World Finals, and with 4 laps to go, suddenly realized his pace was going off, and he got eaten up, and I think ended up 4th place in the last 2 laps. He forgot to open the flap and the kart overheated.
Yeah, these carts very affected by that flap. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does cover almost half the radiator, so it does increase the temperature quite a bit. And over a certain temperature, these motors no longer make horsepower. But they make horsepower, but not the horsepower you need. And a loss of 1 horsepower when you're running this close together is a massive loss. As Jamie Smith on the last lap gives Robert Whiting a couple of looks just to make sure he's still got the gap he needs as he heads over to the checkered flag. But it will be Brad Liebenberg taking out the win here ahead of Jamie Smith. And just behind him, Robert Whiting, Justin Allison in 4th, Nick Verheul in 5th, Eugene Brits rounding out the top 6 with Jonathan Peterson taking the win in the Masters. We head now into the final. This is where the African Open 2020 champion will be crowned. Will we see someone have a go at Brad Liebenberg in turn 1 and make sure we can keep him in the game throughout the race, make it a fight, or we're going to see him get the whole shot and check it out? We see him at the moment get the whole shot, and he's already got himself 2 car lengths on the group. He doesn't have to defend early, so it looks as though Brad Liebenberg will be able to take out the win here and do the same he did in race 1 and race 2, unless someone can get down the inside of him now and stop his charge to build the gap. As we have a look at the entire field, Carlo Gill there and Philippe Chapat rounding out the Masters there at the back of the field, but racing throughout this class. Although, as we said, now we have a look at Justin Allison in 2nd place, just behind that of Brad Liebenberg. But will we see Bradley start to eke out the gap already here in lap 1? We've seen how quick he is in the beginning of the race, and he manages to maintain that pace throughout. So whether or not he's going to do it again in the final here remains to be seen. But it's the same order we had in race 1. Brad Liebenberg, Justin Allison, then Jamie Smith and Robert Whiting, and just behind them, Nicholas Verheul, just chomping at the bit there to get into this group and get into the mix. But at the moment, though, Jonathan Peterson leading out the Masters. It looks as though Brad Liebenberg will be doing the same for the majority of this race in DD2. As I said it, though, Justin Allison finds a little bit of bravery on the brakes and closes that gap down to 2 car lengths. But will it be enough to make a challenge on Brad Liebenberg in this part of the race?
One thing that this circuit has brought to South African drivers is it's giving them an opportunity to drive on a circuit that's comparable and I think in many instances better than a lot of the circuits in Europe. It's that 1.6, 1.5 kilometer circuits, wide, flowing, and nice overtaking areas. So I think it's great for South African drivers to now have that opportunity here at home. They can also now go and practice and not wait to the Sunday before or the Monday before the national the grand finals.
Yeah, that is the one thing that we have been blessed with now, is a circuit of this length and this width, and especially the surface. The surface is what normally catches us out when we go overseas, and how quickly it rubbers in, as well as the lack of aggression in terms of the first opening laps. We're used to short little circuits, short little races, so there's always a lot of aggression in the first opening laps and the first opening heats. So that seems to have calmed down on this circuit because of its nature and the length of it. So it does allow for the gaps to maintain very much together, unlike on a short circuit where a small mistake makes you lose quite a bit of time, and it is difficult to close it. At least here on a larger circuit, you've got more time, more corners, and more segments to get it done, and you can actually see throughout the group how one car is better in some segments and others are better in others, and you can actually see that throughout. But talking about one car that is Robert Whiting down the inside there of Nick Verheul, he's got the move done. I was just going to mention how well hooked up that Brill art of Bradley Liebenberg is, because once again he's built himself a decent gap over Justin Allison, and setting a blistering lap times of a 105.1, saves his best for last and puts his fastest lap in the final of the African Open. Justin Allison lapping 0.4 of a second behind him at the moment. So Bradley doing the same as what he did earlier. Mid part of the race, he starts building his gap and then just maintains it towards the end.
Yeah, and this is happening, you know, between around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the hottest time of the day, you know, after 2 days of racing, 6 races in the seat, guys must be getting tired by now.
Yeah, fatigue is something that will come into play, but a lot of these drivers spend a lot of time in these karts, and the only way to get karting fit is to drive a kart. So a lot of testing and a lot of work has gone into this race. Saying that though, like I said earlier, Justin Allison probably the one with the least amount of seat time, just having himself, he just had his first child, so I think he's having himself a whale of a time at home and doesn't want to spend his time in a go-kart anymore. But saying that though, he's coming under pressure now from Jamie Smith for that second place. It looked like Jamie was going to have moved on the inside there, but we've seen how hard it is to get past Justin in that place, in that point of the circuit, because Robert Whiting tried there twice and couldn't quite get it right. As we have a look now at lap 7 of 12, and the fight continues between these three. It is that of Justin Allison, Jamie Smith, and Robert Whiting. They've been batting it out all weekend for runner-up spots, because Bradley Liebenberg has had this class under control from day one, included in the regional. He's just had himself his own little time there out in front. No need to concern himself with what is going on behind him, but Justin Allison under big pressure at the moment from Jamie Smith and Robert Whiting.
Yeah, Robert Whiting jumping stables from the guy from KZN, getting into this Burrell R team, and now he got second in the championship there, got his ticket to Portugal, using this as practice, and also the fact that Burrell will be the chassis that will be used for the DD2s at the World Finals.
Yeah, that's probably where the decision came from Robert Whiting to rent a chassis from NST or NS2 stroke, the Ricciardo chassis, very, very similar to the Burrell. I think it's just a Burrell painted blue, and trying to get some seat time and understanding the setup and the feel of the kart, and what better place to do it than here at Formula K, a circuit that's very, very close to what they're going to experience in Portimao. So getting some valuable seat time in for his visit to Portimao in January, and get that setup sorted out in that Ricciardo. Another Ricciardo there, that's Nicholas Panialos, just ahead of Jonathan Peterson. But Jonathan does not need to race any of these drivers, because his nearest contender is that of Carlo Gill, who's down in 11th place and some seconds behind him. So no concerns there for Jonathan Peterson, and if that master seat is given, it will definitely go to him at the moment, bar any mistakes or issues happening for him or argy-bargy on circuit. But a man with no such problems at the moment is that of Bradley Liebenberg on his final lap, 11 of 12, and he will definitely walk away with this win should no mechanical errors arise, because that gap is absolutely astounding. Jamie Smith losing a little bit of time to Justin Allison and falling under pressure from Robert Whiting. Definitely not in a position to attack that of Justin Allison on the last lap. So it looks like Justin may just get away with that second place, and Jamie Smith now having to defend Robert Whiting. Nicholas Verheul very, very lonely there in that 5th place, just ahead of Eugene Brits. Eugene Brits, like I said before, running grossly overweight for the DD2 class. He normally competes in the Masters. I said Jamie Smith has given Justin Allison some breathing room, but as they head through the final section though, it doesn't look like it at the moment. Unfortunately, I've never seen someone do a dive into this right hand, and I don't think I'll be seeing it now as Justin Allison comes through the right hand onto the main straight with enough over Jamie Smith to start their final lap and hopefully hang on to that second place. A man with no such worries, as I've said before, is Bradley Liebenberg. Just taking it nice and easy there. Honestly, looks like he's on a Sunday afternoon drive.
Looking at Bradley going around here, as you say, looking like sitting on a couch on a Sunday afternoon drive, speaking to him throughout the weekend and throughout the season, I get the sense that this time around he's probably the best prepared going to the grand finals.
Yeah, he's looking very, very relaxed at the moment. I actually joked about how tight his suit was getting because maybe he's been spending too much time on the couch. But he said he's been in the gym and training, and that's probably why his suit is tighter. Yeah. But at the moment, though, a nice, cool and calm and collected out there in that Brill Art, that number 12 of Bradley Liebenberg, and taking a massive lead of 3.4 seconds ahead of Justin Allison as he heads into what will be his final corner here at Formula K for the 2020 African Open. And he will be once again, I think for the 5th time, crowned African Open champion. Bradley Liebenberg crosses the line with 3.4 seconds over that of Justin Allison, Jamie Smith, Robert Whiting in 4th, Nicholas Vale comes home in 5th, with Eugene Britt in 6th. But congratulations to Bradley Liebenberg for winning his 5th title, and hopefully we will see him in Portimao in January.
Yeah, and I think this time around, as I say, mentally, he just looks so much better prepared than he did before. Liebenberg, Allison, Jamie Smith, Robert Whiting, not good enough on the day to catch Bradley at the front.
Bradley, you're going to a place you've been to before twice. This time, definite silverware.
Yeah, hopefully. You know, we've been there before. We started top 3 in the final, and unfortunately we didn't make it through turn 1. So yeah, hopefully next year, Jan, you know, I think it's just after my birthday. Hopefully it'll be a nice birthday present. But hopefully going there to bring home some silverware for the country.
You've been there before, extremely physical circuit, lots of slipstreaming, but I suppose going to somewhere, a place where you've been before, it makes it easier.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, like you say, I've been there before, and we've been there to test before the World Finals, and we've been doing it for long enough now, and again, it's a Burrell, so yeah, hopefully we can go there and...
I suppose that makes a huge difference, the fact that you're staying on the same kart you race.
I mean, every kart's, you know, similar, but obviously it's having that knowledge of the kart that we've built up over the last however many years we've been in, since 2014, last 7 years of racing DD2. So similar track to what we raced on this weekend. Obviously fast, flowy, got a little bit of undulation, and yeah, like I say, hopefully we can bring home some silverware this time.